Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning. It's on the air, off the presses. Once again, it's a live program, so you can call in a first-time guest. I'm sure that you're going to recognize the voice, maybe even the face. 436 Me TV option 11. Back in a moment. So glad you're back on the program here on a Monday morning. It is Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno as usual, Monday through Friday on Comcast channel 375 as usual. As I said, 13.1 if you have over-the-air broadcast, and that's with one of those outdoor digital antennas. You can also catch us on 43.6 from 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning. The replay, though, comes later in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, 13.6 U2, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. Again, this is with an outdoor antenna. We can also watch us on Comcast 375 live at 10 o'clock. So a quick programming note for tomorrow. We got Doug Vagum coming in. He's going to talk about some of the propositions that are on the ballot. I know there's 17 of them. You know, do you understand all of them? There's the marijuana ballot, and there's another marijuana initiative. I think there are 2 marijuana initiatives on the ballot, if I'm not mistaken. There's also school bonds on there. There's Measure U, Measure T. You take your pick. You tell us tomorrow whether or not you understand the ballot. And if you've seen the voter information guide, more than 123 pages long. If you want to sit there and read through all that, I guess you have to do it if you want to understand what you are in fact voting for. So it's Doug Vagum tomorrow. And then on Thursday, another interesting program, and that'll be an interview here with Victor Davis Hanson. He's a nationally syndicated columnist. His columns appear in the Fresno Bee every Sunday and around the nation. He also lives right here in Selma. He used to work out at Fresno State. Now he's over at Stanford University at the Hoover Institute. We'll talk to Victor about what's going on in the presidential race and that debate taking place on Wednesday night. So let's get right to our program today. A first-time guest, as I said, right here on Connect with Me. I'm so glad she's here. And by the way, let's put up the photo, first of all, before I get into it. Do you recognize that man of KMJ fame? He was so famous in this area for so many years on the radio. You may not recognize the face, but I'll tell you what, if you heard his voice, you certainly would. He is related to our guest today, who, by the way, grew up right here in the Central Valley. She played high school basketball, played some college basketball, worked at KMJ with her father, also worked with me at KMPH Radio at KSFN Channel 30. Now she, well, I think dabbles in the media business still, but here is our guest today. Now, let me see if you recognize her voice and her face. Take a listen.
Some plants you can eat in the wild. If you ever find yourself at one with nature, whether it's in the mountains, along the coastline, or in a pasture, there's a good chance you'll find some beautiful and wild plant life. Many of these wild plants are edible, but before you snack on anything that you're not sure of, it's a good idea to get some expert advice and make sure you know exactly what you're looking for, because you never know if you're allergic to a plant that someone else can eat without harm. Some of the edible wild plants include wild onion, common burdock, common milkweed, common dandelion, lamb's quarters, brambles, currants and gooseberries, blueberries and cranberries, sheep sorrel, chickweed, red clover, garlic mustard, miner's lettuce, common cattail, wild ginger, wild strawberry, American elderberry, and wild rose. Also, you want to make sure plants that you've gathered haven't been sprayed with pesticides or herbicides. I'm Cathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
Hey, live in our studio right now is, of course, Cathy Isom. She is the daughter of Roy Isom of KMJ fame. He was a longtime voice of KMJ, well-respected man, of course, in broadcasting in this area for so many years. Cathy and I worked together at KMPH Radio. She also worked at KMJ. She also worked at Channel 30. Now she is working for a company called Lions Magnus. We'll ask her what that company is all about, and also doing some part-time work for Southeast Ag Net. We'll talk about that as well. You are welcome to call in. Ask her about her father, Roy Isom, who sadly passed away not too many years ago, not all that long ago. So 436 MeTV option 11. And you know what? I forgot to say that our sponsor today is none other than, who is it? 2020 Optometrics. That's right, out there at Shaw and Blackstone. That's right. He's our sponsor each and every Monday here on Connect with Me. Back in just a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Back here on the program, here on Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. Time to welcome in Cathy Isom. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, John. Thanks for having me today.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. So, welcome to the program. And, I don't even know what I'm going to ask you first. What have you been doing since the last time I saw you? That's
Oh my
been
gosh.
so many years ago.
Yeah, it has been a few years.
10 years maybe?
At least. Because I left KMPH radio and TV, I think it was 2005. Okay. So that was the last time you and I were on the air together. You'd cross the parking lot and join me on the air on the radio side.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was reading through your bio just a little bit. I had no idea, even when I was working with you, that you played basketball.
Oh, yes.
And so you played in high school, you played a little bit in college, junior college, but went to Fresno State, but then decided to give up the game at Fresno State. Why?
Yeah, I left, I laced up my high tops for the last time at Kings River Community College, which is now Reedley College. I felt like I played enough. I kind of lost the fire in my belly after my second year playing there, and it was just time to, become a grown-up and do the things that you're supposed to do and graduate college and find a career, find a passion, things like that. So basketball was fun. It ran its course, but I left it back in, I guess, 1993.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to put up the picture of your father again, Roy Isom. Long-time KMJ voice. My gosh, I can still hear his voice ringing in my head as I'm driving in my car. What a fantastic man he was. Met him just a few times on a couple of stories that I was covering. Great guy. So again, reading through your bio, I did not know that you had another career path chosen for yourself other than broadcasting. And when you decided to go in broadcasting, your father, Roy, was against you going into the same profession. Why?
He was. Well, I was actually going to become a nurse, and I was, I'd taken all the prerequisites. I'd gotten on the waiting list at the time. There was a waiting list at Fresno State, and I was just kind of biding my time. And I was about 21 at the time, and, kind of twiddling my thumbs. And my dad said, "You need a part-time job." And I said, "Nah, I'm fine. I'm good. I'll just wing it." So a couple days went by, and he called me and home and said, "Come down to the station. I have an assignment for you." And I said, "Okay." So he got me a part-time gig answering the telephone for Ray Appleton's show.
Oh, good.
So I did that, and within a week, went into my dad's office, and I said, "I like this radio stuff. I think I'm going to change my major." And the look on his face was
Really?
priceless. And he says, "Oh, no, you don't want to do that." And he tried to talk me out of it. But the more he talked me out of it, the more I really wanted to do it, because I could tell how much he loved it and how passionate he was about it. And so I did. I didn't take his advice. I went right into the Fresno State office and said, okay, I'm changing my major.
Yeah.
Let's get this done. And within 3 years, I was working alongside him.
At KMJ?
At KMJ. Well, I worked part-time at KMJ and part-time at KMPH News Radio.
Right.
And then eventually had to give up the KMJ job and got a full-time job at KMPH Radio.
Yeah, because you sounded great on the radio at KMPH. I didn't know you
Thank
were
you.
working at the same time at KMJ as you were KMPH News Radio. How'd you get the job at KMPH News Radio, by the way?
I just applied.
Out of curiosity.
I just applied. I had friends that were working there, and they said this is a great way to get your feet wet, to get into news writing, because that's where I wanted to start. I knew nothing about the news, just how to listen to it and listen to my dad. So I did. I applied for a part-time writing position at the radio station, KMPH Radio, and I got in, and from there it just took off.
What were you doing at KMJ?
I was a call screener producer, so I was answering Ray Appleton's telephone calls, as well on Saturday mornings. I would answer the phone for Radio Tradio and the radio talk shows throughout Saturday morning. There were a couple.
But not on the air.
No,
at KMJ.
no.
Okay.
Every now and then Ray would, ask me to chime in, but no, nobody.
Not too.
The
too
KMJ
often.
listeners would remember me as Big Red, but that's about it.
Okay, tell me something about your father, or tell our viewers something about your father, Roy Isom, that would be interesting, because we all heard him on the radio. Everybody knew who he was, because I don't even know how long he had worked at KMJ, but it was many years. So tell us something interesting about your dad that we don't know about.
Okay, well, my dad was very loyal, sports fanatic, especially when it came to his kids. He was a 49er fan, and so of course that's how I became a 49er fan. But I'll never forget, my dad made just about every single basketball game of mine in high school, including when we went down to the Los Angeles area for the state playoffs. As you know, my dad worked earlier morning shifts, so he would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. He would be in the station by 3:30. But it didn't matter if my game was down in LA. He did what he had to do. He went to work, he drove down to LA, took a nap in the parking lot of the gym, made my game. It was a 7 o'clock game. Took another nap, drove back home to Fresno the following early morning, and made it to KMJ on time.
Wow! So that's after attending a night basketball game of yours in LA.
Down in the Westminster area.
And he'd still be he'd still be at work at 3:30 in the morning.
Yep, chasing the fire trucks and whatever ambulances, whatever else breaking news was happening.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How many years was he on the air over there at KMJ?
I believe he was approaching his 30th year there, but
Okay.
in broadcasting, his broadcasting started in the early mid-'60s. I know he was on Kino with Ray and John Wallace, and then he went over to Vegas for a few years. Shortly before I was born, he was working at a TV station in Vegas, and then got the job at KFSN TV, ABC 30, and he worked there for a while. Ran for school board for Sanger Unified.
Okay.
Then ended up at KMJ in the 80s and stayed there up until his death.
Wow. Okay. Let's take a break here. Connect with me, MeTV Fresno, 436 MeTV option 11 if you want to call in, ask Cathy Isom anything you'd like. And today's program is sponsored by 2020 Optometrics out there at Sean Blackstone. Thanks for that. Back in a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
And away we go.
Here's the place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be a guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me?
Follow me.
That's memorable. That's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
All right, got an email question here from somebody, Cathy. Did Roy Isom ever anchor on local TV, or was he just a radio celebrity?
He did on ABC 30 or
Okay.
KFSN TV, Action News,
Okay.
in the mid to late 70s, I believe. Yes,
He probably
he was.
worked with Angelo Stalis.
He did.
Because
He did.
Angelo started way back when, like in the early 70s. And he's been a guest on my program many times.
Yeah,
here.
and another fun
Yeah.
tidbit about that, the year I was born, on 72, I'll just put it
Wow,
out there.
that was a long time
It was
ago.
a long time ago.
No, I'm teasing you.
That
You
was
know
the first year that dads were allowed in the delivery room. And so my dad was working at KFSN at the time.
Okay.
So when I was born, I was on the news that night.
You were?
I was, because that was a big deal. Fathers allowed in the delivery room. And I was born on my dad's birthday. So bang, there's another,
Wow.
there's another interesting tidbit.
So your dad saw you in the delivery room,
Yep.
actually.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and
then
before that, I guess dads weren't allowed to. They just,
Yeah, I didn't know what year it was, but now I know.
Yeah.
That was the year. All right, another email question. Those golden years at Kino, does Cathy have any stories about Kino?
oh my gosh. You know, my sister and my brother probably would remember better. I was just a little pup, so that's a great question. I'm sure John Wallace would, or possibly Ray, because they did work with him in the Kino days. But yeah.
What's Appleton like to work with?
Oh, he's a lot of fun. He's just a wealth of knowledge. Boy, he just,
I know he is.
talk about monologues, and he's just smart, and he's funny. He's fun.
Okay.
He's a lot of fun.
I ran into Ray in a parking lot somewhere, and I did not recognize him. He looks completely different right now. He lost a lot of weight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I just walk right by him, and he goes, "Hi, John." And I turned around, and I'm going, "Oh my God, it's Ray Appleton."
Just recognize the voice, not the face.
I
Yeah.
recognize the voice. How could you?
Yeah.
And your dad had the same thing where you would recognize the voice, maybe not the face,
Yeah.
but certainly that classic radio voice.
Yes.
That he had.
He did.
What did you learn from your dad?
Oh my gosh. When it came to broadcasting, everything. I mean, I was working at KMPH Radio, and when I say alongside him, yes, we would always end up on the same house fires or car accidents. And so I had a chance to just study him and just watch him and how he would interview local law enforcement. So I learned everything. And I feel like we have kind of the same personality, but just how to be cool, because he was cool.
He was cool
He
under
was
pressure.
very cool under pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
didn't
kinda
get
like,
too excited.
because you worked in the business, so you kind of understand it. You know, those of us who have worked in broadcasting for so many years, hey, quit texting and pay attention to the show. This camera here, hello. Those of us who have worked in broadcasting for so many years get used to the deadline,
Yeah.
and it becomes a part of us. It becomes a part of who we are, and wherever we are, we're always looking at the clock, and
Yeah.
it's part of that pressure to be on time every single day. And
Yeah.
do you feel that? It's like an internal clock.
Absolutely. And, you know, I would watch him and, you know, we would be in the middle of a conversation and he'd just kind of look down at his clock, his watch. He'd just say, just hold on, sis. And then he would do his live report and, you know, like nothing. And then he'd hang up the phone. Okay, back to what we were talking about. It was just the neatest thing to be a part of, to watch.
Hey, let's roll up another piece of videotape of Cathy Isom. And if you like pecans, do you like pecan pie? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But here's another sample of Cathy Isom on the air, on the radio.
The surprising health benefits of one popular nut that is often used in holiday treats. Pecans, or pecans if you prefer, may be best in grandma's pies or rolled in caramel, but eaten raw, pecans are vitamin and mineral powerhouses, and they're getting recognized for their health benefits. Research is showing that the high levels of antioxidants in pecans may play a role in protecting the nervous system and delaying the progression of degenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's disease or ALS. And researchers at Texas A&M University are looking into the pecan's anti-inflammatory properties. Results from a 2-year study so far have shown that pecans decrease fat accumulation accumulation in fat cells and reduce inflammation in cells, which makes them potentially useful for the treatment of obesity and even the prevention of diseases such as cancer. Pecans, like most nuts, are also high in calories, a whopping 684 calories per cup, so moderation is encouraged for anyone watching their weight. The American Heart Association recommends 4 to 5 servings, about a third cup each, per week as part of a balanced diet. I'm Cathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
I'm Cathy Isom, Southeast AgNet. So what is Southeast AgNet?
That's pretty good.
I like that. I like that voice. What do you think of yourself when you hear that?
It's so funny. I really don't. I think, gosh, I sound okay. I wonder what I really sound like. I mean, it's fun, and I've always enjoyed doing it. Don't get me wrong, but
You sound great.
I think I sound kind of funny.
You sound wonderful. I'm
Thank you.
surprised that you don't have a full-time radio gig somewhere.
Well,
or even TV.
I stepped away from the business when I was at Channel 30 because I had a young son at the time
Yeah.
who needed my attention at home more.
Yeah.
And as you know, that as much fun as we have, if you're not home connecting with your family at the same time, eventually it's just going to catch up to you. So I did.
I
I
know.
stepped away to take better care and be a better mom to my son. And he's about a year and a half away from graduating from high school. Who knows? Maybe I'll
And
get back into
you've
it.
done a great job as a single mom, and that's
Thank
tough
you.
to do while you work. But don't you miss broadcasting?
I do, and that's why I dabble still a little bit on the side part-time. I have my full-time job at Lions Magnus, and I love it, but I also have my part-time broadcasting just to kind of keep
Tell
me
us
fresh.
what these two organizations are, the ones that you're involved with now. You've got Southeast AgNet, and then you've got Lions Magnus.
So
What are
Lions
those?
is my 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I am a senior customer service representative, and we are just a phenomenal local-owned company. We supply all of the major chain restaurants for example, Starbucks.
Okay.
We make some of their goodie syrups. A lot of the limited time offerings that you'll
Really?
find at certain times of the year, like pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, yes, of course.
So
And that's
we
coming
do
up
a-
because of Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of that. McDonald's is another customer. We make their smoothies. We made lots of dessert toppings, fruit-based products, and from fruit grown locally as well. And we also do cocoa-based products. We have a healthcare line, so we supply all the major hospitals around the world.
Okay.
Yep.
So Southeast AgNet is...
And then Southeast AgNet came about a year and a half ago. I ran into one of my colleagues, former radio colleagues, Sabrina Hill. I'm not sure if you remember her.
She was a guest on my show once.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we ran into each other. I can't remember where, but I kind of just said, hey, I hear you doing the radio thing these days. You sound great. You look great. If you ever need an extra voice, let me know. I'm always available. And she did. She hit me up about 5 months later and said, we have this position. It's feature reporting. It's everything ag-related, anything ag-related, but kind of feature reports. And I just need a couple hours of your time a week. And
you're still doing that.
I'm still doing it.
You're still doing it. Well,
Out of my home, which is really nice.
And so you have a setup at your house?
I do. I have a laptop. I have a microphone. It's very in audio editing.
And you just email it.
Yep.
Wow.
I
Wow.
convert it into an MP3 and zip it to my producer in Florida.
Does the check come in the mail, or do they say it's on the way? That's what I want to know.
Direct deposit.
Direct deposit.
Yes,
I like that.
this day
All
and
right.
age.
Yeah, I know. You
Yeah.
just have to make sure. All right.
So
Cathy
that's,
Isom is
that's
our
a lot of
guest.
fun.
We'll talk about some other things. We'll talk about the state of radio today. We'll talk a little bit about politics, too, and what Cathy thinks about that. And, just about this whole Central Valley, what changes may come about because of the mayor's race and what's going on in our agriculture here today. Back in just a moment, 436 Me TV Option 11, Thomas Casagrande 2020 Optometrics is our sponsor today. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. For the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like
He can?
Coach, Tiffany,
Oh.
Prada, Ray-Ban.
Oh.
Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Yeah.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the program, 436 Me TV option 11 if you want to call in, and Thomas Casagrande, our sponsor today. I do want to run another piece of audio tape from Cathy Isom, who is our guest today. She's the daughter of the one and only Roy Isom, who I had a lot of respect for, and I had heard him on the radio the minute I got to Fresno, obviously, and had seen him from far away and heard so many great things about the legend of Roy Isom, and he passed away sadly about 6 years ago. His daughter dabbled in the business too, worked at KMPH, KMJ, Channel 30. Here's a list. Take a listen to Cathy Isom on KMPH News Radio back in the 90s.
Which clip?
Take your pick.
Areas of fog and mist all over the valley. Currently 52 degrees in Visalia, 52 in Fresno, 51 in Hanford. You're listening to Fresno's only All News. Not as bad as yesterday, but the National Weather Service has issued a dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock this morning. KPH reporter Tony Lee is on the road. And with that last report, Mark, he's giving me ideas for new bumper stickers.
Absolutely.
Keep off my tail lights.
You can see this. You're too darn close.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Tony. KPH News Time, 8:08. 5 weatherman Kopi Soteropoulos is coming up in 4 minutes. Well, in addition to causing problems for drivers in our valley yesterday, that heavy fog caused a few headaches for air travelers out of Fresno Yosemite International Airport. Some planes took off, others did not, and some never even made it to Fresno.
We had at least 11 divert to other airports out of here because they couldn't get in.
John Marmoset, Airspace and Procedure Specialist for the FAA, says landing in fog at Fresno's airport really depends on the airline, the pilot, and the pilot's rating.
And the type of aircraft. Each one's kind of different.
Fog definitely put a damper on travel plans for Merle Crane of North Fork, who is traveling with his wife to the East Coast. And as always, keep it tuned right here to FM 107.5 for the best Foggy Day coverage, including live reports from around the valley and complete Foggy Day school bus schedules. Jay Leno's monologue coming up at 8:22, KMPH News Time, 8:11. KMPH Headline Sports in 3 minutes, KMPH News Time, 8:12.
She should still be on the radio. There's no question about it. My God, that's a great voice.
Thank you.
Great pacing, great read.
And that was so long ago.
I know.
It was like, I even sound younger in that clip.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
I've grown up a little bit.
All right, caller, you're on the show with Cathy Isom here on Connect with Me. What's your question?
I don't have a question except, well, I do. Where in the heck has Cathy Isom been all my life?
I know who this is.
How are you, Cathy?
Hi, John. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I haven't seen you in years.
Too long.
I remember when I first saw you, you were a little redheaded girl running around and gosh, yeah, you were really young at that time. Remember those days?
I do. I remember running around with your daughter. Sunday school,
That's right.
People's Church.
That's exactly right.
For the viewers,
John, pardon us for just kind of going off into the past and ignoring you. We didn't mean to.
I was just going to tell our viewers, for those of you who don't recognize the voice, I'm sure you do once I tell you, the man on the phone, the caller, is John Wallace, of course, the former news anchor at Channel 30, Channel 47, a longtime legendary broadcaster himself here in the Central Valley, and of course he knows Cathy Isom because John Wallace and her father worked together, and so, John, go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I would just add to that, John, and by the way, it's great to talk to you again, my friend, but I would just add to what you were saying is that Cathy's dad, Roy, gave me my first job in Fresno back in 1969 at KYNO.
Wow.
At the time, I was working over in Salinas at a radio station called KDON, and Roy, for some reason, got a hold of my name or whatever and gave me a call and said, how would you like to come to Deep Dark Exotic Fresno? and and worked as a newscaster over here. And I go, well, I've never been to that particular city, but I sure will. And that's how my life in Fresno started, and I just have so many wonderful memories about that guy. I mean, what a gentleman, what a teacher. I mean, it wasn't just me that he taught. Any young person who came into that business, there was Roy to show him the ropes.
Absolutely. Hey, John, they were asking me what a favorite memory from the Kino days would have been, and you are the perfect person to ask this. Your favorite memory of my dad.
Gosh, I think the one that comes up often, and just because it was so big at the time, and that was shortly after I arrived in Fresno. There was no coincidence this one. Man landed on the moon. And and I'm sure your dad taught the astronauts how to land on the moon, too. He was so good at things like that. But anyway, Roy and I were working together. I believe it was a Sunday afternoon. And we did sort of a play-by-play on man's landing on the moon. And what we did is we turned on the television set, our little black and white Philco, and I think we probably watched Walter Cronkite or somebody, and we repeated his words. And then we took the Associated Press and United Press International teletype information, and we combined it all together, and Roy and I went back and forth kind of describing what we saw. And it was really exciting for us. As a matter of fact, somewhere in the garage, I still have all the teletype information and stories about that landing. That was fun. We really felt like we accomplished something for those who, weren't in their homes watching TV, and they were maybe driving and wanted to know what was going on. So that's one of my fondest memories of working with Roy.
John, do you miss the business, especially now with the presidential run and the two candidates that are involved?
Oh, no. No. No, I don't at all. I'm kind of words don't describe it. I was going to say it's shameful, and it really is, I think, for Americans to, for those of us, and I know we all have in some form friends from other countries, and they look at us like, well, what the heck is going on? Because that's what we usually do or have done in the past with, governments in foreign lands. We go, boy, they're really going through some problems. Well, now we are. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. One thing that I think everybody, John, and you guys, you and Cathy both know this, that who is president really doesn't determine our fate as a country. There's so many other variables involved. And who that new president will be, whoever that might be, who that person surrounds himself or herself as far as a cabinet and advisors and things like that, have so much to do with, our future, as a country and as a globe. I'm not going to get really worked up about whichever one wins or loses.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to ask Cathy a question?
Yeah, what have you been doing, Cathy?
That's a good one.
Well, I've been busy raising my son, who's now 16, almost 17 years old, and he is a junior at Clovis High and just excelling in academics and sports, water polo and swim. So that keeps me pretty busy year-round.
Yeah.
Does he have red hair?
He doesn't. There's a little hint of reddish, but it's mostly brown. In the summertime, it turns blonde, the chlorine in the sun.
Yeah.
Is your mommy still playing the piano?
She is. In fact, she is, you can catch her volunteering down at St. Agnes Hospital in the lobby. There's a piano, and she goes in there a couple times a week, I believe. And
is that right?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
She sure does. Yep. Huh. So that and playing piano and chasing her grandkids at sporting events. So she's doing really well. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And today would have been my parents' 51st wedding anniversary.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So today's kind of a big day for the Isoms.
Oh, I bet.
God, got to go out and celebrate.
Yeah.
no question, John. That's a good point. Well,
Yeah, got to go out and celebrate your parents. My parents were married 65 years. Yours, how long?
45.
45. That's still an incredible amount of time to be, in one household and be married, and quite unusual in this day and age. So go out and celebrate tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, before I let you go, I got to ask you a question. Who's going to win the World Series?
who did I want in the World Series, or who do I like?
Who do you think is going to win now that my Giants are out?
The Cubs.
Oh, I think the Cubs will.
Okay. I'm with you there.
Yeah, and they're the popular choice. I think America's really going to get behind them once they get into the series, and hopefully with Cleveland, that'd be a great series.
Yeah. You, Cathy? What do you think?
Actually, I haven't really been following it too closely, but I'm going to say, because this is such a weird year for everything, politics, sports, and I'm going to go with the Cubs, too. They deserve it.
Yeah, gosh, after 108 years. What is it, 108 years, John?
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, 108 years, I think. Almost to the very moment. Anyway, John Wallace, glad that you joined us today. It's good to hear your voice. I'm glad you're doing well. You sound great.
Oh, it's a big front.
Okay. Well, hang in there.
Okay. Hey, Cathy, great talking to you too, girl.
You too, John. Thank you. Take care.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, the one and only, the great John Wallace, of course, of broadcasting fame here in the Central Valley for so many years, over at Channel 30 and then over at Channel 47. And by the way, he is the voice of free TV right here on Ventura Broadcasting. You see all the commercials with John, advertising free television without the use of cable or satellite, just with a digital antenna that we sell here at Ventura TV, or just about anywhere in the city. You can buy a digital antenna and watch our show and watch so many channels, up to 90 free channels. And so John Wallace is still the voice of Me TV and free television right here at Ventura Broadcasting. So I want to mention before we go to break that tomorrow's program we're going to talk politics with Doug Vagum. Today's sponsor is Dr. Thomas Casagrande. He is at 2020 Optometrics, and he's been a long-time sponsor of this program. Guess he likes us. Back in a moment. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Team coverage continues with FM 107.5 weatherman Kopi Soteropoulos, provided by Accent Interiors, Fresno's granite and marble fabrication experts located downtown. Well, there's some good news and some bad news about the price we pay at the pump. First, the good news. Valley drivers are paying 1 cent per gallon less for gasoline than we were about a month ago. Now, the bad news, we're still paying 63 cents a gallon more than we were a year ago. The average price of regular unleaded in our valley, now $2.32 a gallon. That's 4 cents less than the statewide average. KMPH Headline Sports in 7 minutes. If you miss an hour, you'll miss a lot. KMPH News Time 8:38. 18 Minute with Mary Hart is coming up at 8:53. KMPH News Time 8:40. Team coverage continues with FM 107.5 weatherman Kopi Soteropoulos. KMPH Headline Sports begins at 8:45 on FM 107.5. Dense fog advisory in effect through 10 o'clock this morning. Turning to partly cloudy skies by this afternoon, heading for a high of 67 today, 44 overnight, and more morning fog expected tomorrow. We'll continue to see patchy fog throughout our work week. 50 degrees in Merced. You're listening to Fresno's only all news all morning. KMPH News Time, 8:21. KMPH News Time, 8:26. A complete look at Wall Street with Mike Gish coming up at 8:50. Now a look at the top state and regional news from the KMPH News Center. Some Southern California travelers are worried about airport safety after 3 planes almost crashed on an LAX runway.
You know what? I keep saying this over and over and over again. You have a great voice.
Thank you.
And you should be on the radio every day. I mean, you should. I don't know what's wrong with these people. What's wrong with KMJ? They need a female voice like this on the air every day. That's just my opinion.
I miss
That's
it.
just my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a caller who has been waiting, and caller, you've been very patient. I appreciate it. Go ahead. What's your question or comment?
I have a couple of questions, John. And first off, I want to make a comment. Your mama plays beautiful piano. They must have raised you right. I really do hope that.
Thank you.
Now, I guess it's going to be 3 questions, okay?
Sure.
It says ag on your southeast. Are you like an ag reporter?
I am, in a sense. It's more feature reporting. So I don't really go out and cover the hard-hit ag news stories. I do have more of the feature-ish pieces, National Pecan Day, or how to compost your leaves in the autumn, stuff like that.
Because I'm having a situation in my neighborhood. We're zoned rural residential agriculture, and we have a land grab going on this property over here that's in our neighborhood, and they're trying to make it commercial, say for trucking a couple hundred trucks. And also, John, I want to know about when you're going to have Margaret Mims on, because they're avoiding my calls. And thirdly, I guess nowadays they're so understaffed at zoning and also the code enforcement that they're now sending people like myself that's in the middle of this to get the evidence, say, to build the complaint. Now, the problem is the business that came in there is a reflection of the character of the boss. So what we're getting is an innocent person like me has to go collect the evidence, okay? We're not allowed to break the law. But it's appearing that the people that are doing this illegal business and the zoning are able to do whatever they want and endanger the life of the...
Let me just interrupt right there. Do you have a short, quick, zippy question for Cathy? Because this is getting too long. I'm not sure she can answer any of these or comment on anything that you're talking about. But do you have a quick question for her?
How can I get code enforcement and zoning to do their job on this rural land grab?
Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's something you're going to definitely have to address here at the local level. You had asked about the AgNet in my title, and actually my feature reports, every now and then, I believe Sabrina cherry picks some of my reports to play on the air here, but I am being broadcast in Southeast Florida, Georgia, Alabama, about 85 stations.
Okay.
So that's where people would hear me.
Right.
Or you could go to the website and hear some of my feature pieces.
But those other questions that you commented on, I mean, those are questions not for Cathy, but maybe for Margaret Mims or some local government official.
Yeah.
And, we're not government officials. We just work in the media. Another email question here for you, Cathy. Your guests, let me see. It says, let me just kind of paraphrase. Your dad had a very informal and a very friendly manner on the air on KMJ, okay? Was he like that off camera and in person?
Absolutely. No matter where we went, it was just the same. He let me describe to you it this way. Kobe Soteropoulos, the way you see him on
Never
camera.
heard of him.
Yeah. The way you see him on camera and then you see him out in public.
Yeah.
My dad was the same way. There was never just a show face or, it was, you got what you saw or what you heard on the air. Exactly.
Right. Hey, let's pick
Except
another.
when we were in trouble, except when I would get in trouble when I was little. I never got in trouble.
No, of course not. Why would you?
No.
You? I never got in trouble either. Okay, KMPH audio bite number 3. Let's take a listen to Cathy Isom's great radio voice.
News time 8:20. I'm Cathy Isom in the KMPH News Center. Videotape has been sent to an Arab TV station showing a militant shooting a blindfolded woman. That woman is believed to be kidnapped aid worker Margaret Hassan. KMPH News time 8:26. A complete look at Wall Street with Mike Gish coming up at 8:50. Now a look at the top state and regional news from the KMPH News Center. Some Southern California travelers are worried about airport safety after 3 planes almost crashed on an LAX runway. Airport security checkpoint lines may be getting shorter soon. It's now easier for the nation's airports to switch to privately employed security screeners. 52 degrees in Fresno. You're listening to Fresno's only all news all morning. KMPH News Time, 8:29. 52 degrees in Clovis. You're listening to Fresno's only all news all morning. FM 107.5 KMPH. And Fresno's rescue mission, which helps the homeless, looking for some help of its own as the holiday season approaches. Though it seems to be clearing up in some areas of the valley, the National Weather Service has issued a dense fog advisory. It's in effect until 10 o'clock this morning. KMPH reporter Tony Lee, he's been on the road all morning long and has some information for many valley commuters. Tony? And because of the pea soup-like conditions, many travelers hoping to get out of Fresno International Airport had to put up with delays or cancellations. Some flights did get off the ground before the thick fog rolled in, but for several hours, FAA specialist John Marboquette says incoming planes were not permitted to land.
Giddy up with westerns, we've got the best ones. Superhero sci-fi spin, grab the popcorn and stay in. Drama's mystery and action, take a look and see what happens. Carol, Andy, Lucy, MASH, timeless comedies full of laughs. Hey, that's me!
That's me. That's me, Chief.
Yeah, me, you gotta see. That's memorable, that's me. Me TV.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. Back here on the program, another call for Cathy Isom. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hi, I got a question for Cathy. I remember meeting her dad at a farmer's market years ago, and he was a nice gentleman.
Oh.
And I asked him about his son, Richard Isom.
That's my brother. Yep.
Yes, and I asked him, how's your son Richard doing? And he told me he was doing good, and he's been active. And I haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
And so I was going to ask Cathy, how's your brother doing? I went to school with your brother.
Okay, I was just about to ask. You must know him from school.
Yeah.
He's doing great. He's doing great. He's got a big birthday coming up soon. I'm not going to, spoil it for him. He'll kill me. But he's doing good. He's been in law enforcement for over 2 decades.
Where?
Well, I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to say. But,
okay.
But
here in the Central Valley?
In the Central Valley,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. He's been in law enforcement. He's got a beautiful family, 2 daughters he's very proud of.
Yeah.
And they're also in sports, of course.
Hey,
So
I
he's doing
was going
good.
to ask you, how do you feel about being tied so closely? Obviously they hear your last name, they immediately think, oh, you must be related to Roy Isom.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that, or do you feel like, gee, I wish I had my own identity a little bit, instead of
no, I do.
You're forever
Yeah.
tied to your father,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. How do you feel about it?
Actually, it doesn't bother me. I do like it. When I was working in radio, and I mentioned Dad and I would show up at the same time at the same stories. If he beat me there first, it got to the point where Fresno police would say, well, we're not going to give you a statement. Where's your daughter? When's she going to arrive? And
So
Really?
yeah, I was actually making a name for myself there. It was a big joke.
Are you serious?
I know. Yeah, we.
How did that set with
Oh,
your
he
dad?
just laughed.
Oh,
He would
okay.
just laugh. We would compare stories at the dinner table, and they'd ask, well, where's Cathy? Why isn't she here yet? Maybe I wasn't coming, but yeah, that was pretty funny. No, I've always just identified. I sometimes I think of my name, Cathy Isom, as just one name, all one name, because when I was in college, I would babysit, and the kids that I would babysit, they'd just call me Cathy Isom. They wouldn't just say Kathy. So
Cathy Isom.
it was always
like
Cathy
one
Isom.
Word, like
yes,
one word.
yes. So, and then it is kind of cool. I also have a very famous cousin who's in agriculture, so I get a lot of, hey, are you related to Roger Isom? And yeah, that's my cousin. So the Isom name, we're Valley presence here. Yes, yeah, pretty cool.
John Wallace, when he called in just a few minutes ago, touched on the presidential race, and he said basically that, and I've thought this for a long time, does it really matter who gets in as president? And it to a certain extent it really doesn't, because there's so many other factors that figure into the equation, like Congress, the cabinet, the military, the judicial part, things that are totally out of the control of the president.
Mm-hmm.
So with everything that's gone on up to this point, what are your thoughts about what's gone on this year?
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people are kind of going off the course, because they're just looking at these two candidates and they're just really zooming in on just those two, and you kind of have to take a step back, whether you like either one of them or not. It's really not about that person. It's like John said, it's who they are surrounding themselves with.
Yeah.
Because they can't just, do everything,
No, they can't make every decision.
No,
They need the
no.
approval of Congress, of course, unless there's an executive order. But especially on important decisions like going to war,
Mhm.
you can't do that alone.
No.
So, did you watch Saturday Night Live, by the way?
I missed it. I was busy. I had an event, so I missed it.
Let's roll it before we run out of time, because I do want to comment about this on the other side of the break. We'll talk a little bit about it. Saturday Night Live, just a couple of days ago, did a little spoof on debate number 2.
To the second and worst ever presidential debate. I'm Martha Raddatz.
And I'm Anderson Cooper. And before we begin, we just need to do one last thing.
Oh, much better. Now let's get this nightmare started. Please help us welcome the candidates. Republican nominee Donald Trump, and can we say this yet?
Probably fine.
President Hillary Clinton. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'd like to begin tonight by attempting a casual lean.
Martha, tonight I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to huff, I'm going to puff, and I'm going to blow this whole thing.
Now, tonight's debate is a town hall, which means we'll be taking questions from voters in the audience. They are undecided, uncommitted, and not remotely camera ready.
Secretary Clinton, we'll start with you. Your question comes from Patrice Brock.
Hello. My question is, do you feel that you're modeling appropriate and positive behavior for today's youth?
Hi, Patrice. Let me start by walking over to you just as I practiced. Right, left, right, left, right, left, plant, speak. Now, Patrice, you're a teacher?
No.
You have kids?
No.
You like kids?
No.
You've seen kids?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're bonding already. Oh, my friend Patrice. Patrice, I strive to be a positive role model for all children. Children like my daughter Chelsea and my granddaughter Chelsea Jr.
Mr. Trump, same question. Do you feel you're modeling appropriate and positive behavior for today's youth?
No, next.
So you don't care about the kids?
Anderson, I love kids, okay? I love them so much I marry them. I've been helping kids my whole life. In 1992, I helped a kid named Kevin McAllister find a hotel lobby. You might remember the documentary Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Trump, we received a lot of questions online about the audio tape that was released last week of you bragging about sexually assaulting women.
Listen, what I said is nothing compared to what Bill Clinton has done, okay? He has abused women and Martha. Anderson, hold on to your nips and your nuts. Because 4 of those women are here tonight, 4 of them.
Wait, I'm sorry, who's here? Mistresses? Bill, how could you? How will I go on with the debate? No, I'll never be able to remember my facts and figures now. Oh, Donald, no! Get real. I'm made of steel. This is nothing. Hi, girls.
Martha, she is trying to silence these women, but they need to be respected. They need their voices heard.
What about all the women accusing you of sexual assault?
They need to shut the hell up.
All right, let's move on. Our next question is from Ken Karpowitz.
Thank you. I've got a boring one. The Affordable Care Act is not affordable. What will you do to bring the cost down and make coverage better?
Well, Ken, that's a great question. I agree that Obamacare can be improved, Ken, but Ken, it does have its benefits. Number 1, insurance companies can't deny you coverage because of a pre-existing condition. Number 2, no lifetime limits, which, you know, is a big deal if you have serious health problems. And number 3, number 3, women can't be charged more than women can't be charged more than men for health insurance, okay? And number 4.
Okay, let's take another question. This one comes from James Carter.
Good evening, Mr. Trump.
Oh, no.
My question is, do you believe you can be a devoted president to all the people?
That is a great question, Denzel. Thank you for
Funny stuff.
Saturday Night Live strikes again.
I know. So what do you think of the race? Who's going to win, do you think, in your estimation?
Oh,
if you were to take a wild guess and just throw a coin up in the air.
I just, I go back and forth every day. I think one thing, I think, maybe she's going to win. Then the next day I think, no, maybe he's going to. It's just.
Is it too dirty a race, do you
it's
think?
really hard to say. It's
Nasty?
kind of starting to get that way, but that's typical at the end, right towards the end of running up into the election. Yeah.
This election has to make you miss broadcasting even more.
It kind of does. I'm missing out on all the excitement, but honestly, I can't wait till November 9th when we finally know.
I know.
The day after.
I know. The day. We might know the night of.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
You got to come back again, would you?
I'd love to. Yes.
You
Thanks
like
for
our crew
having me
here?
on. Yeah, you guys are all pretty good here.
Yeah,
It's
we're kind of
nice
goofy.
little setup. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for
Cathy
having me.
Isom, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Some radio station here in the Central Valley has to hire her. She's got a great voice. Tomorrow, Doug Vagum and more politics coming your way. Have a great day. See you then.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family-friendly programs of all time. MeTV Fresno delivers a strong, loyal audience ready to buy, and your campaign will cost a fraction of what you're paying for your advertising now. Call me today to find out how affordable MeTV is at 905-1925.
At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription.